What is going on, you guys? Sports on the Diesel back at you here with another episode, and we're going to be talking about Week 9 of the NFL season. Let's jump right into this like we do every week here, analyzing the week's games. And let's just go right into it here with the Packers against the 49ers, 34-17 as the Pack win. Aaron Rodgers throws for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions again. And Davante Adams continues his hot offensive tear as of late. 10 receptions, 173 yards and a touchdown. He's the first player in the Super Bowl era with over 50 or more receptions, 600 or more receiving yards, and 8 or more receiving touchdowns in his first 6 games of a season. Now remember, Davante Adams did miss a couple of games earlier this season due to injury, and he's just been on an offensive tear, and I don't see him slowing down as long as Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams stay healthy. But they do need help at that running back position with Aaron Jones and company to balance out this offense. But Aaron Rodgers is airing out this football, and Davante Adams is on the receiving end of most of his passes, and it continues to be successful, and I don't see them slowing down anytime soon, looking at their upcoming schedule. Going on to the Broncos against the Falcons. Falcons win 34-27. And is this the chance for the Falcons to get on a run? It definitely is a chance for them to get on a run. But the Falcons are 7-2. Now, that is including Sunday's game. They're 7-2 in their final 8 games of the season since last year. They were 6-2 last year in the last 8 games and of the regular season, but they're 3-13 in the first 8 games of the last 2 regular seasons. 3-13, and it's not winning football, and it's unfortunate that defense is giving up way too many points, and this defense continues to struggle to hold their opponents down in terms of. Now, I'm not saying this defense isn't capable of making great defensive plays and them getting wins like they've won the last 2 games, but they got to find a way to hold teams down from getting points. But this is obviously not a defense that is capable of doing that as of right now. But the Falcons, I have a feeling they're going to go on a run, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for them to even come close to the playoffs. We will see how it goes pending. They still got the Saints and Bucks to play, and Carolina's been a beast of their own. McCaffrey's back, but now he's hurt with the shoulder injury, but we will get to that when we get to that game. Up next, Buffalo, Seattle, a fantastic game to watch. Buffalo overcomes a juggernaut in the Seattle offense, and they win 44-34. Russell Wilson again, 28-41, 390 yards. Unfortunately, two touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he's had 3 interceptions in the end zone this season. He had 3 interceptions in the end zone the last 2 seasons combined. So Russell Wilson is not making the best of throwing decisions when it comes to throwing it in the end zone. And this season, is he still an MVP candidate? Absolutely, he's still an MVP candidate. He leads the league in touchdown passes with 28 on the season. The interceptions are starting to rise just a little bit, but defenses are understanding where he's going to go to, whether it's Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and even David Moore's had his fair share of catches in the end zone as well. So Josh Allen, another MVP candidate. There's not enough to talk about with Josh Allen. 31-38, 415 yards, 3 touchdown passes. He also rushed for a touchdown again, another rushing touchdown. I think he's second among quarterbacks in that stat. And these guys continue. This Buffalo Bills team continues to be great offensively, great defensively, and that's why I picked them to win the AFC East. And I believe that this team could make a deep playoff run, and we'll see how that plays out. There's still too much football left in this regular season, and so let's move on. Ravens, Colts. Was a little bit shocked at how slow Baltimore started off this football game. I know they had the fumble recovery for a touchdown in the first quarter, but the Colts defensively held held Lamar Jackson to it was 80 something yards in the first half passing wise. I mean, Ravens looked terrible in that first half, but Baltimore once again overcomes things, and for the first time, as with Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, they come back from a halftime deficit and win, even though it was only 3 points. I'm not really confident on that because anyone can come back from a 3-point deficit. It doesn't, anyone can do that. Even the 2-7 Giants and the 0-9 Jets can do that. So, with that being said, Baltimore, 20 or more points in 31 straight games. That is an NFL record. But, like I said, Baltimore finally overcomes a halftime deficit. They were 0-10 since 2018. Since Lamar Jackson became the starting QB, they have been 0-10 when they're down at halftime. And they're the only team that never won a game being down at halftime, which is kind of crazy to think about. But let's move on. Panthers Chiefs. What a great game this was at the 1 o'clock hour. Chiefs narrowly escaped 33-31. Unfortunately, Sly could not kick the 67-yard field goal to win the game. And honestly, there were some poor decisions leading up to that moment for the Carolina Panthers. But with that being said, Kansas City, 23 or more points in 23 consecutive games. That is also an NFL record. McCaffrey is back finally. 18 carries, 69 yards and a touchdown. He also had 10 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. Unfortunately, he gets a shoulder injury on the final drive of the game. With that being said, they are saying he is doubtful to play for this Sunday's game. Obviously, we will see how the practice week goes before we make any assumptions that he will not play this week. But I think in order for McCaffrey to rest, they're saying not playing. So, Mahomes, obviously, not enough to say about Mahomes either. 30 of 45, 372, 4 touchdowns. Continues, like Aaron Rodgers, like Wilson, like Allen, to air the ball out of the air out the football over and over again to Tyreek, Kelsey. Kelsey had a nasty game. 10 catches, 159 yards. Tyreek Hill, 9 catches, 113, 2 touchdowns. There's just too much speed, too much athleticism for this team. And, the running game's been there for them. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been fantastic for him this season. So I don't see anyone slowing down the Chiefs anytime soon, even though the AFC West looks to be a little bit contested with Las Vegas having their moment. I'm not saying Denver, but in divisional games, anything can happen in the divisional games. And you saw it in the Patriots against the Jets game on Monday night, but we will get to that game in just a few moments here. Vikings, Lions, another one of those divisional games in the NFC North. Vikings win 34-20, Kirk Cousins only threw 20 passes in this game for 220 and 3 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins loves the Detroit Lions. Since he has been quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, he is 5-0 as the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings when they play the Detroit Lions, throwing 13 touchdowns and 1 interception during that span. He's had a fantastic season. He has a fantastic time playing against this Detroit Lions defense. And I honestly, he just loves playing against them. And so does Dalvin Cook, because Dalvin Cook is just literally has been cooking with gas all season long. And he continues to do it. 22 carries, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also caught 2 passes for 46 yards. Again, another game, and he's the only Vikings player in their history, in their franchise history, to have consecutive games of 250 or more scrimmage yards and multiple touchdowns. So, I not enough words for Dalvin Cook. You could put him as an MVP candidate the way he's been running the football, but you give credit to this offensive line. They're giving him gaping holes, and the defense is, once he gets in the open field, it's like, how are you going to get this guy down? But Detroit, disappointing again. 9 straight losses to NFC North opponents. Their last win when they beat an NFC North opponent was the last week of the 2018 season. And Matt Patricia, that job is up for grabs in Detroit right now, because he it hasn't worked out. He's had 3 seasons to do 2+ seasons. Eventually, I think it will be 3 seasons, but he's had 2+ seasons to get this team on track, and he hasn't been able to do it. He hasn't. I don't even think they made the playoffs under him. So you can't even, so that job is going to be up for grabs very, very soon here if they don't get on a streak here. But they're last in that division, and I don't see them outcoming the, Green Bay. Chicago's right there. And Minnesota is starting to catch a little fire here, even though, this is back-to-back games for the Minnesota Vikings. And too much football left to be played in order for us to figure out who's going to make the playoffs and who won't. And the NFL front office is thinking about adding more wild card teams to the playoffs, so you never know what might happen here. Giants, Washington football team, 23-20. Giants win this ball game. The NFC, I didn't even want to get into detail with this game because honestly, the Giants are within a throwing arm distance winning this division. I know they're 2-7. Dallas is 2-7. Washington football team's 2-6, but Philly's only 3-4-1, and all it takes is for one of these teams to go off and win a bunch of divisional games, and who knows, you might have a tiebreaker at the end, and they might have winning the division, even though Giants should really be trying to. Even though I don't want to see anyone throw the season away, but it's just like when you're losing that much, it's so hard to find the motivation to play and try and win each ball game. But moving on, Saints, Bucks. I don't even want to talk about the Saints game. Holy moly. I mean, an absolute blowout, 38-3 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're the largest loss in Tom Brady's career. Tom Brady throws for 3 interceptions for the first time since week 3 of the 2011 season. Not enough is to be said, but if this defense gets going like they did against this Tampa Bay team, you can forget it. And Michael Thomas is finally, he's been back the last few weeks, but now he's back. And Taysom Hill, they most defenses don't even have an answer for Taysom Hill. He's lining up as a slot wide receiver. He's lining up in the backfield, running the football. He's throwing the football. And he's even on special teams. He does stuff on special teams too. So this guy is like a jack of all trades for this New Orleans Saints team. And a lot of teams don't have an answer for this guy. With that being said, Raiders, Chargers lose on a throw at the end of the game. They review it. It's not a touchdown. Herbert still finding ways to air out this football to Keenan Allen. 9 catches, 103 yards, and a touchdown for Keenan Allen. Over 300 yards again for Herbert. And he's been he is a candidate for Rookie of the Year, and by far a candidate for Rookie of the Year. Like I said, too much season left. The Chargers are right in that division. And we'll see how it plays out. One of the best games of Sunday, Dolphins Cardinals. Dolphins win 34-31 in a high-contested, high-scoring game here. Tua, 248 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He also carried the ball 7 times for 35 yards. He actually was pretty accurate throwing the football, 20 of 28. Murray, I could talk about Murray all day, and I do believe Murray should be an MVP candidate the way he's been playing. 21 of 26, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also 11 carries, 106 yards, and a touchdown. This guy is completely a dual-threat quarterback, and he's tearing up defenses left and right. And then you got Christian Kirk, who's finding the end zone, it seems like, every other game. And or pretty much every game now. 5 catches, 123 yards, and a touchdown. That's 6 touchdowns in the last 5 games for Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, in his first 27 career games, had 6 touchdowns. 6 receiving touchdowns. He's got 6 touchdowns in the last 5 games. So Christian Kirk is obviously on a hot streak. Kyler Murray keeps finding him, keeps finding DeAndre Hopkins. Don't forget Larry Fitzgerald, the ageless wonder at the wide receiver spot there for that football team. You can't forget him. Chase Edmonds has been fantastic for that team as well. He's had some good moments. But let's get to the Dolphins here. As the Dolphins trying to close in on this AFC East gap, now 5-3. I love what I'm seeing out of this Dolphins defense. This Dolphins defense has been playing fantastic this year. And they continue to get turnovers, force turnovers, and they're winning the football game because they're winning the turnover ratio. And that's what wins football games. But they're closing in on that Buffalo spot at 7-2. They're at 5-3. We know where the Patriots and the Jets are. But moving on, Steelers, Cowboys. Steelers are 8-0 for the first time in their franchise history. 24-19 the score. I really do think the Steelers have gotten away with the last 3 games. Now, I give credit to the defense in a sense, but they should have lost the last 3 games. Like, let's be real. Or at least been contested 2 out of the last 3 games. You know, you lose the last game. You beat Tennessee because Gostowski can't kick a field goal under 40 yards. Under 50 yards. Then you beat Baltimore because Lamar Jackson can't look off the defenders and throw it the other way. Then you beat Dallas, and Dallas, I thought Dallas was going to win this game the way Pittsburgh was playing, but Pittsburgh overcomes the odds again, and they win another football game. And they're 8-0. They're the only unbeaten team in the NFL right now. I do believe that they eventually will lose a game, and it's probably going to be a divisional game that they'll probably lose because I believe they do play Baltimore again. And Cleveland's not the same team they were without Odell Beckham. Cincinnati's got Joe Burrow and company, and he's been throwing the football real well. We'll see how this plays out, but, Pittsburgh, in my opinion, shouldn't be 8-0. The way the last 3 games have gone, they should have lost at least 1 out of those 3 games. With that being said, obviously Monday night's game, Patriots Jets, 30-27 as the Patriots overcome a 10-point fourth quarter deficit to win the football game at the end of regulation with a Nick Folk 51-yard field goal. And Cam Newton looked great throwing this football. Jacoby Myers, 12 catches, 169 yards, obviously a career high for him. What else is there to be said? A complete overall team victory for this Patriots team, but this Patriots team is getting burned. It's absolutely getting burned with the deep ball this season. And the secondary is not, obviously, we know they didn't have Stephen Gilmore guarding Brashard Perriman in this last game, but, J.C. Jackson was getting burned left and right in this ball game, and he comes up with a big interception, and here comes the run, and they unfortunately they win the ball game at the end of regulation, and now they give themselves a chance of having a little hope in making the wild card if they could beat. You just never know. They've already beat Miami once. If they beat them again, you just never know what could happen and the possibilities. If they beat Miami again later on in this season, and they find a way to be tied with them, they could enter a wild card spot and kick Miami out of the playoff picture. So you never know what could happen there. But Cam Newton has dug deep and found something in this ball game, and hopefully he continues this because the Patriots have not looked well the last number of weeks. But Jets 0-9. I'm not even going to get into that. This poor football team. I feel bad for the fans. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for your time. If you haven't already, leave a like or subscribe to the channel if you're watching me on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for your time. I will see you guys all in the next one. Deuces.